tell everybody this. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our On Demand. My name is Shanna Sumpter. If you are brand new to our On Demand shows, I just want to say welcome. We really aim to have the highest value for entrepreneurs. I really believe solely, whether you are studying with our community or you're studying with Brendon Burchard or Marie Forleo or Dean Graziosi or any of the amazing leaders out there, that if you watch this On Demand show, that you will see your mind change and you will see whatever it is that you're working on get better. Who's in for that? Say yes. Who's in for that? Say yes if you're ready for that, right? So I don't just jump on this live and wing it. Okay, so please do not drop links in, do not drop link. Oh, there, that's actually Krista, so that's okay. So that kind of threw me off. So so I don't wing it. I don't just get on this live and wing it. Okay, so I actually develop the content out. And as I develop the content out, it's got a purpose. Sometimes it has homework and it builds on itself. So you can watch it anytime if you miss some of these, but it will serve you to just stay tuned in. Okay, you guys got it? Because studying, somebody put the word study, literally put the word study in the chat. Studying is something that entrepreneurs don't do well enough. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? And I know because I coach entrepreneurs. I've been doing it for 14 years. Before that, I did real estate, which was just another set of entrepreneurs, right? Because I did investment real estate. So you could use this as your study time and allow yourself to get stronger and better. And it's better than a book, although I love books, because it's interactive. You're seeing people on the chat go through and walk through the same challenges with you. That's why I drop trigger words. And as I drop trigger words, you start to unhook your mind around your limitations, okay? So today's topic is around procrastination will ruin your life, okay? It will ruin your life. And not only will it ruin your life, it destroys your identity, it destroys your confidence, but it's an indicator that you're about to go to something like big. Okay, it tells you, like, the only reason why you procrastinate is because you don't own the skills yet. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Put yes, right? Do you get it? Put yes. Okay, so Tony, you can actually get the replays of these on the Hardcore Business Facebook page or YouTube page, okay? So for the main trainings. So if you think about procrastination as kind of like a green light instead of a red light, right? It's a green light that you're standing on the precipice of something great, and that it's not, your instincts are there to keep you safe. And your instincts want to have you procrastinate because it feels a little unsafe because you're growing. Okay, can you get that? So instead of being in this conversation that something's wrong with you because you procrastinate, I have sat with, you probably have too. Most of my friends are very, very successful, most of them. And in whatever fields, music or real estate or coaching or speaking, they're just network marketing. They're very successful and they procrastinate. Isn't that wild? Because, like, do we think it's just like the unsuccessful are the only ones that procrastinate? That's not true. They procrastinate. And normally they're procrastinating because they don't have someone to execute the vision. Okay, so if there's anything I can share with you before I start hot seating entrepreneurs' biggest problems, if there's anything I could really help you gain some wisdom on, is to stop looking at things like perfection and procrastination as any sort of reason not to succeed. The only thing that you might be guilty of is not knowing how to get through it. And the reason why you don't know how to get through it is because you've been given all this advice that takes willpower, right? So what's the advice to get through procrastination? Have a bigger vision. Shorten the time that you give yourself to create it. That is the way to hack it, 100%. You know what I mean? Like, right now I have our sales team on a stretch to have an enrollment every single day. Okay, and so I don't know the percentage. I think 90% or 85% hit it the last 2 days in a row. Okay, isn't that awesome? That's taking priority focus time, giving them a short period of time, which is 2 hours, and a vision, right? Which is what would one enrollment do for you a day? And I'm telling you, this vision is connected with standard. So I'm going to bring some clarity to your life. The reason why you hear people like Tony Robbins or myself or anybody who's kind of, I wouldn't say any of us have made it, because I just don't think any of us have made it. Like, I think there's a next level for Tony Robbins, there's a next level for Dean, there's a next level for me, there's a next level for Chalene Johnson. However, there's some people who hit certain levels of success and just coast. And that is usually because the process to get there was painful. So depending on what your mindset looks like, this mindset will destroy your life. Or this mindset will give you life. So whenever you hear me say things like manage your mind, manage your mind, manage your mind, manage your mind, stay in the step you're in, stay in the step you're in, stay in the step you're in. The reason why I say that, I don't say stay in the step you're in like it's okay to take 2 or 3 courses. When I say stay in the step you're in, I'm like, I think Dan Sullivan says, be where you are right now, right? And so in other words, like when I say stay in the step you're in, I'm like, whatever I'm working on right now, that's what's got my attention. And I never worry about what's going on out there, because if I do, I don't do anything here. So procrastination kicks in. Are you guys, is this helping at all? Just put yes if it is. Like if you're hearing this a little different than maybe before, you're like, yes, this is clicking, Shanda, thank you, right? So when you know this, you're going to hear out there in the peak performance world or the leadership world, you need to get a bigger vision. And that is true. You typically control your time because people can help you establish this. You control your time, and the default is to give yourself more time to create the result, which then kills the vision because uncertainty kicks in, and then so does procrastination. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So when I see a big player in the world procrastinate, they are honestly looking for who is the leader that's going to lead that. And when they find the leader to lead that, and the more attached to this vision, when it becomes a priority to do it, their main focus is to find the person to lead it. And if you thought that way from the very beginning of starting your business, right? My very beginning, the person I hired was a tech virtual assistant. And I did that because I knew that if I sent out my own emails, I would spend less time, coaching, doing sales calls, all the hats I was wearing. I needed to make sure I was so rigorous on money-making activities, which a money-making activity is not sending out an email. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? So now if you ever email me, I won't ever answer you back. Why? It says I have not answered emails for 7 years. And that's true. So it says, I get calls all the time from some of the big deals that we're doing. They're like, hey, I noticed your email. I don't know if my email went through because I noticed your email auto respond. I'm like, yeah, but I'll go in and look for your email now because I know that you sent it to me. But always send it to Krista Marks, my assistant, because she will take it and put it in Slack for me. And if I open up my Slack right now, right? So I'm going to tell you, there's some of you guys insist. If I open up my Slack right now, I got nobody in here. There's a staff channel. I got no emails. These are all of our channels. I got no emails. Do you know what that does for my nervous system? Now, if you went into my inbox, I'm sure there's a ton of them in there. And there was a really important legal agreement that came through this morning that I know about. So I pulled out of my email, and I don't touch my email unless I'm sitting on the couch and I'm bored, or I feel like I want to go shopping. So I shop and email all the time. I'm subscribed to revolve.com. I'm subscribed to Beauty Counter. I'm subscribed to Saks Fifth Avenue, Neiman Marcus. Now you know my style, right? So like that, like I am in my email when I want to spend money. I am not in my email to do work. You guys hear what I'm saying? So that's why I say standards give you the quality of life you want. So when your mindset destroys your life and doesn't give you life, it's because you are trying to be too much to too many people. Get what I'm saying? You need to raise your standards. My standard is not to check emails. My standard is not to do customer service. And by the way, I think I'm the best customer service person on the planet, which is why so many people send me Instagram messages asking me to find their links, right? And I'm like, that is not my role. It's not what I do. We have a team of people who are amazing at this, that is their main focus. Do you get what I'm saying? And and as everybody starts to elevate, and by the way, I'm not saying answering emails is not a good job. I'm just saying that you can only do so many things in a day. And you got to pick what are the highest standard things for your role to get to the next level. Yes? Got it? Got it? Okay. So now you know you are completely 100% responsible for procrastination. And the longer that you procrastinate and the more you make up stories about yourself on something, I'm going to tell you that that's not going to serve you. So if you want to feel confident, you need to win at something, which means that every day you need to win at something, which is why I tell you to do priority focus time. You got it? If you don't know what priority focus time, I think I covered it on Monday or Tuesday. All right, so now I'm going to hot seat. And where I'm going to be looking in the hot seat is I'm going to be looking for spirits of delay. So something in your spirit that wants to delay it, that wants to procrastinate on it. I'm going to be looking for that. I'm going to show you what I would do. Do you get what I'm saying? So you never feel like you have enough money. Well, maybe sometimes you do, but a lot of times you've got a money issue, you got a time issue, or you don't feel like you could lead that next step. And so what happens is there's a lack of courage. And if you just knew where to look, you can do anything for a short amount of time through willpower that could like push on courage and get a new result. Okay. But if you're looking at the wrong thing in your formula called life as a CEO, if you're looking at the wrong thing and you're making yourself wrong for procrastination, you're just being brutal on yourself because everybody's got it. Okay. All right. Rev Wendy, what's your question? Let's bring her up here.
Wow. Hey, Shanda. My question is to choose what my next program is. I'll come out really strong and I'll do something, and then I don't have the back end supported. And then I get in my head, do I do this program for mothers? Do I do this for spiritual warriors?
Yeah,
Which do I do?
First of all, you shouldn't make up any of those decisions. If you're in service, this is not just for her, then you always ask. So if you have a thought about what you should do, you need to go out and do a survey. So the first thing I ask is, what's the main point of transformation? So if you're working with mothers, give me one right now. What's a possible program you could launch?
The Awakened Mother, superpowers of an awakened mother.
Okay, so why? What's the point?
So that they can reclaim their self-worth, they can reclaim their self-appreciation, they can reclaim their intuition.
If I reclaim, guys, she doesn't do bad in the world, so I'm just taking her to the next level. Okay, so great, like we regain our self-worth, we regain all that, but you're not going to get the dollar value that you want, because dollars come down to value comes down to specific and tangible, whether you're in esoteric work or not. Okay, so if I reclaimed myself and if I had high self-worth, then what? Like what is the benefit in my life? What is that next destination I can reach like now, because all those things clicked in?
Okay, so they live more, they're happier, and they raise children well. They change the world, they raise children well.
Okay, forget the change the world stuff.
Okay.
I'm gonna be really, you guys, I'm gonna be really honest with you. It's powerful to change the world, but that's like your tail. It's not the reason why. It's like, listen, be the type of mom that changes the world through you changing your world in your house, so that your kids go out there into playgrounds or into colleges, and instead of smoking a joint, they're the ones like taking people like hiking or to Mount Everest or whatever your kid does. Like your kids operating in pro, which means that they have to be in peak performance versus in amateur. Did you guys know this, that Ash and I were talking about this on our marriage walk this morning? I said, you know, we don't have the same team with us in Puerto Rico that we had in Cali, you know, and so, you know, we just don't have the same team. We're renting long-term Airbnbs. That's not like super homey. Do you know what I mean? But we're fine. We're great. We're having a good time with it. But it's not like we can like spread out. Like it's like, you know, in a couple weeks from now, they're going to be packing up all our stuff, right? And then they're going to be putting our stuff in air conditioned storage. And then we take off and we go traveling again, right? And so it sounds glamorous, but it's not glamorous. Now it's great. I mean, it is great. It's like, I would say it's an 8 out of 10, but my standard is a 10 out of 10 for my marriage, for my parenting, and for where I live, right? So going through a little stretch until we find our house. We bid on a house the other day. I don't know if we'll get it or not. It's a great house. However, there's 2 more I told Ash to bid on today. I said, let's not wait for that house. Let's bid on these other 2 because they're awesome. They're amazing. And one of them, honestly, I kind of like better. And so it's like things just keep getting better, right? So I share that with you because I don't want anybody to be under this illusion that I have this incredible grounding. So now I'm in Puerto Rico. My kid's going to kid camp, and I'm interviewing all of these homeschool teachers, right? Which is the last thing on the planet I feel like doing, right? And then as soon as I get the homeschool set up, I've got a little pod happening with other kids. Now those kids will stay with that teacher and we go back to Cali. Right? And then the old teacher's coming in, who's amazing, and she's going to work with him for 3 weeks out of the 5 weeks. And then we come back and integrate him in here. Now I feel like a little bit more stability. But like over there, I'm trying to figure out who's cooking for me, because my girl that normally cooks for me is now living in Hawaii. You get what I'm saying? So who handles that? Krista. So I'm like, Krista, I need you to get on care.com. Care.com, by the way, is my favorite site on the planet for finding who's people, right? And I'm like, find somebody who can do basic house management, laundry, keep my towels like ever, my bed made, and I want this person to cook medical medium style food. Then I'll add in some meat for my husband, right? And so there's a point, right? Your point is the mom's being happy, but I think your real point, like this is a benefit. I think your real point is raise thriving kids. Do you guys get that? This has got some guts to it. So I'm going to honestly tell you the biggest breakdown I see, and I teach this all the time. I feel like I need to do like, I feel like I could do hot seating all year, every day. And I'm not sure it would be enough until I talk to you specifically. You guys get what I'm saying? Because people have such a hard time with this. It doesn't have to be that hard. Your point is you are a stand for mothers to raise thriving kids. And you've got all of these conditions or steps that make that possible. And this is the weeds of your program, but they're going to feel happy when you raise thriving kids. And so I think you need to bring this word in here, but I think you need to call all moms forward. It's time to wake up. It's time to realize that if your kid is on an iPad, so this was the marriage talk this morning, I was like, my kid is, I wouldn't say he's on an iPad all the time, but more than I'm comfortable with. You know what I mean? And so like Ash played checkers with him for 3 hours last night. So there was no iPad, right? Which is awesome. Good daddy. I mean, way better daddy than me as a mommy, because I'm like 3 hours on checkers, right? But I said to Ash, I said, why don't we put the iPad high up so we could hear when his friends from California or Puerto Rico call on their little messenger app. And when they call, we give the iPad to our son so he can connect with his friends and play. I'm good with that. right? I go, but there's no surfing. Like we've already taken off YouTube, but there's no surfing, right? And so if he wants to watch a movie, it's got to be on the main TV so we can see it. Because the challenge is he ends up on videos that are not age appropriate, and he starts to say words and do things that I'm like, where did you learn that? Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, how do you manage that when it's like going to a mentor. He's got a mentor. It's called YouTubers.
Right.
Do you guys get what I'm saying? And that is impossible to, in my opinion, for my life, it feels impossible for where my leadership is at to be able to manage that. And it is not, I cannot sit next to him like 24/7 when he's here, right? So the iPad's going high up and he'll get the iPad for 90 minutes a weekend. And we have a timer set. So that's now our new simple rule. We'll see how that works over the next 3 weeks and if we need to tweak it. Do you get what I'm saying? So when you're kind of developing this out, the weeds are the weeds. I'm not going to sell that strategy to someone. I'm going to sell the strategy of know that your child's not going to be indoctrinated by YouTubers and their standards, right? Like he's like, look, mom, this one believes in God. I'm like, yeah, no, not really. You know what I mean? Like that, just because he said God's name doesn't mean that he believes in God, right? And so now everything after that becomes my son's value system. Do you guys know what I'm saying? So I think you should explode, because now you got to look at, now you have the hook, raising thriving kids, which, mom, this is going to make you a happier mom, and you're going to be a lot more connected to your children. But most of all, you will change the world by changing your child's ability to be a successful and thriving adult. So I actually raise kids that become successful adults, right? And now you've hooked all the ambitious parents in, because who's not going to be interested in that? The parents who have a judgment on successful adults. And they're not your high performers. They're just not. They're the ones they say things like everything in moderation, just chill, it's okay. I'm like telling my kid, get down on the ground and do 50 push-ups. You know what I mean? Like that's what I say to my kid. He loves it. You know, high performance is his game. You know, he does not say, mom, I don't like you pushing me. He actually says, mom, push me more. You know, and I love that about him, right? He's going to a pro tennis coach. He's not going to an everyday coach. That was on Shanda On Demand, interviewing Ben Hardy, you guys who saw it. I had a click. Well, what is my love speed? Success loves speed. Move, right? Get them locked in, do a pro. So why? Because a pro's going to coach my son a lot different, because I'm interested in what you're teaching, which is I want my child to be happy, playful, thrive at his age, but get mentorship to be a pro. Okay. I don't know if you guys know that Great Britain has already passed a law that they can lock down Great Britain because of a climate. They could do a climate lockdown. And once they get 15 states, that means we can all be locked down in climate. Okay, there's 50-minute cities that are popping up. There's like back to, I don't know if any of you guys have been, when I went to Africa, people couldn't go to different states unless they had a passport, right? Like different regions without a passport. And many of them couldn't afford the passport, right? And the news on the street is if you've got cash, you're going to be able to pay for the interaction with going across borders in your own country. This is going to most likely happen in my child's life. So I'm going to tell you something. I'm glad I moved to Puerto Rico at 4% tax. And I'm doing everything I can, because now I'm combating this conversation where people are like, it's not all about money. And before I said, nobody said it is, but now I'm saying it is. Because you have a right to make money, and you better make it now. If you care about your kids, your nephews, all of that, you need to raise leaders that are not operating in average. You know what I mean? Because average is a really dismal future in the near future. Okay, so to be able to, like, you guys all know your bank accounts are now digital, right? They 100%. You're like, why would they shut down your bank account? I don't know. Why'd they lock you down in COVID? Whether it was real or not, that's not the conversation I'm having. Not, I caught COVID, that's not the conversation I'm having. Not my bone is not in that fight. My bone is in the fight of the only way I know how to combat what's going on is to make a shitload of money because it talks. And whether people
That,
like it or not,
Shanda,
the world is rigged in that way. Yeah.
that is also what you just spoke about. That is also where I can get caught in all of my sacred activism and all of my desire to awaken and educate people, help them evolve, help them stand up. I get really caught in that because I am that person also.
Yeah. So I would just say maybe it's time to accept all parts of you and not be afraid of people judging you. You know what I mean? Because they will. There's people who just judged me for saying that. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like whatever. I don't care. I'm gonna make sure my family's fine, or at least
Yeah.
to the best of the knowledge I can. You know, and so like if you look at their pain, the parents' pain, you guys should
Mhm.
be writing this on your own sheet with your stuff. She's got a point. I told her instead of being confused about what to offer, take whatever idea you might have and ask them. But in order to ask them, you need to think a little bit through, well, what would be the point of me launching this product, program, or service? Well, to help moms awaken to have the leadership skills and the backbone, right? The leadership, you should write this down, the leadership skills and the backbone to raise thriving kids that become successful adults, right? And that you are a happier mom because you did your job well. And you didn't just put them on an iPad or ignore them or see them 3 times a year when they become adults, right? Like you did better than that. And if you want to do better than that, that's where my XYZ program comes in, right? Now you need to know what pain is. And so depending on the kind of age groups you're working with, you've got different pain. You've got, there's tons of data out there, which is also why, like I am taking my son to Disney on Ice, but I don't let my son watch Disney unedited. Okay, I just don't do that. Like I would tell you, he knows who Mickey is. He doesn't know the whole Disney character scene. He just doesn't. And I'll be very bold at saying I do not want my son to think he can have a baby. Now, if my son becomes gay or he goes transgender, I will walk that, right? Like I'm not that's a walk, right? But where I'm at as a parent, I do not want my son knowing about sex. I do not want my son, he's 8. I don't want him to know about sex. I don't want him to know about boys trying to become babies, have babies, which is already coming into his life, right? Like it's just wild what these poor little kids have to conceive at this point. And it's even more wilder to me that parents actually push this on kids. Like, I'm like, come on, let them be kids. You know what I mean? Like have those conversations when they're going to middle school and high school. It's just wild. So I'm not going to give that to my child. Now, if you guys want to do that, that's cool with you. Do you guys get what I'm saying? I'm just not doing that. And here's what's great about America still, and Canada, some other places, is we have free will because we have value systems in our homes that we should expand and have a backbone for. So you got to look at the pain. You're fighting pain of society. I have women sit with me in California crying because they feel the pressure of giving their child hormones. I'm like, do you know how detrimental that is for an adult? And you're going to give it to a kid that seems to know more than you? You know what I mean? To fit in because the society says they'll be outcasted in school. I mean, I don't care. Same with like, I'm not giving my 8-year-old a cell phone or my 12-year-old a cell phone. And I really don't care if everybody's doing it. I'm not doing it. And by the way, almost none of my friends have done it. Why? Because they all have backbones. Do you get what I'm saying? Like they've all hit high levels of success that they're not playing that game. Like Elon Musk doesn't have his kids in school. He created his own ecosystem of school. Why? Because he doesn't want that ecosystem, right? So we get to choose that as adults. You get to look at what are the pain points all adults are facing based on your value system, right? You might have a totally different value system than mine. And that's awesome. Like if you do, like maybe yours is like, maybe it is about supporting like the transgender movement. Like I'm not like, you guys get what I'm saying? Like to be really clear, like I want you to do what you do. Let me do what I do. You do what you do. And let's build out for whatever tribes we want to work with. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Yes? And so you build out the pain, and then the way that you create the ask or the survey is you got to find out if they're feeling any of this pain. And that's the survey. So you do a multiple choice survey. So it's like if I look at society pain, I might send out an email to my list, say, hey, I'm developing a new training for moms that want to raise thriving, successful adults, like kids to adults. Would you take 2 minutes and answer these 4 or 5 questions, whatever you want? Don't go over 6, okay? And if you've identified society pressure as one of them, a question would look like this. Do you feel like you are facing society pressure on identity or transgender or any of these things in the school affecting our children today? Is it A, yes, I feel pressure, but I'm okay with it? Is it B, yes, I feel pressure and I don't know how to handle it? Is it C, no, I feel no pressure, I know where I stand? Is it D, everybody should just be whoever they are and mind their own business? Why would I put that? Because if you get 60 or 70% of your audience that says everybody should just mind their own business, then you should not talk about that because they don't care.
Okay.
And this is critical. This is where you make millions, right? If you have 60% of it, 60% or 70%, you might have B, which is, yes, I feel pressure, I don't know what to do. And then like, yes, I feel pressure, but I'm handling it, right? If you had those two come together and it was 70 or 80%, you need to be talking about this. And you need to be bold about the pain point. Like you're battling, not knowing how to deal with this movement, right? And you have to speak about it from their viewpoint. Do you guys all get that? Like if you really care about entrepreneurship, it is not about you and the hair standing up on your arms. Woo, I'm so excited. It's not about that. It is actually about you building an email list and a text message list and then building out your social platforms and asking people, but you need to think. I mean, leaders are leaders because they have an idea of what they might want to do. And then instead of sitting in procrastination, we just start to think through, well, what's the main point that I want to see them do? What's the main point? And then what's the pain they're facing to not get that? And then you take this pain and you ask some multiple choice questions, up to 5 or 6 questions, multiple choice, and you send it out to the list like 2 or 3 times. Where'd you go, Wendy? 2 or 3 times. I don't know where Wendy went.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
You send out the list 2 or 3 times to get as many people to answer as possible. You might even drop it on social media and you see where your audience is at.
Okay.
And once you do, that becomes your sales conversation. Okay. And if you actually took that survey and you kind of wrote a compassionate email to the main pain, right? The main pain that the survey says, and now there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and that's the Zoom I'm going to do this Thursday at 5:00. You're invited, and bring any of the other mamas that you hang out with, because moms hang out with same moms, to the Zoom with you. Share this link, and I'll see you on Thursday. I'll see you on Friday at 3. Right? And then over communicate, send out like 7 emails about this, over communicate, ask the mamas to bring their other friends that have the same value system. And then on that Zoom, open up a paid application for $97 refundable.
Okay.
If we don't work together, then I will refund your $97 back and you have got a sold out funnel. Okay? I'm going to keep going.
Thank you.
Love to you, girl. Aisha. Hopefully you guys got that.
Hi.
Hi, what's your question?
Oh, Shanda, you should look. I'm in all your groups. I feel like you should know my face.
How
I signed
are
up
you?
for everything.
I love it. I love
Yes.
it. Well, that means
Okay.
you're getting inundated by success and leadership. What's your question?
So, Aishar, one of your employees, he's my coach. So, we've been working together. So my question is, right now, I'm doing everything you guys said. I'm getting the clients coming in, like they are coming. My Google search.
What's your question? What's your
Okay,
question?
so the question is, I'm not closing. Like my closing is, I'll say 30 to 40%. I'm not closing.
If you're closing at 30 or 40%, that's good.
Oh,
Are you closing 30 to 40% of the people you talk to?
yeah, kind of.
What do you mean kinda? Are you or are you not?
So in a week, I'm talking to 100 people. I might close between 7 and 12 in a week.
Okay, so you're sitting between 7 and 12%. So you
Okay.
actually want to get up. So
Yes.
okay. So congratulations. And on your priority focus time, you should focus on follow-up. Because 80% of all your enrollment is on follow-up, okay? So I'll give you guys an example. If I did a webinar right now, I was doing a webinar and made an offer to join my leadership program or my Mentor Me Live program, and I make the offer. Well, like how many guys, you would jump into it, put yes. Put the word yes if you know that I made an offer and you jump into it right now. Put yes in the chat.
Yes.
I don't believe you guys. So you guys are saying yes. It's such a small percentage that ever jump in at first. It's the ones that like, maybe some of you guys, because you're following this on-demand show, right? And we're getting a relationship, but usually it's a small percentage that buy at the beginning. Where do they buy? On the repitch or the reconnection? Okay, so this is where having a good copywriter like that you can contract with, that's a lever point. Like so many people don't want to pay for a copywriter because they're afraid to pay for a good copywriter. And a good copywriter is going to charge you $100,000 a year. Okay, but hold on before you shoot me. Okay, you could talk to that copywriter about just having them do some freelance work for you that isn't on retainer. Because that copywriter, if somebody's charging $100,000 to $120,000 a year as a copywriter, they're very good at what they do. Because you just don't have the nerve to even charge that unless you're good. Because you would get canceled. Do you know what I mean? Like people wouldn't keep paying you if you weren't good. So the way that somebody keeps their confidence up is to win. Right? And so it's just a better possibility. It doesn't mean for sure they're going to be off the charts, but it's a better possibility that they will be good. And what I like to do is give them like an idea that I want to work on and ask them to sell this idea in an email so I can see it.
Okay.
Right? And I'm like, oh yeah, that sounded great. Right? And so if I did a webinar and I did an offer, all of the emails that come after that and the frequency, because it's a 5-day cart close. You can do a 3-day cart close, but a 5-day cart close, which means that let's just take it from you talking on the phone, right? With you talking on the phone, you're going through some variation of these steps. Which is what is their inspiration for talking to you? So in other words, what do you want and why? You can't have a sales conversation without knowing that. What's stopping you? There's going to be two things. Everybody has their backup excuse. There's the thing, and then there's the backup excuse. Here is your opinion or your advice on consulting them on that, right? Because if you can't give them some good advice on that, then there's no reason for them to buy from you. This is, what did you like about what I just said? This is how you ground somebody's mind so that they have a stable mind to make a good decision. So they tell you what stood out. It also is a way for you to say, oh, no, hold on, you missed the mark. Or I didn't explain that well enough. You didn't really, let me re-explain what I think you should be doing.
Okay.
Because if they are way out in right field, when you say, what'd you like about what I just said? Then you didn't land, you can't go into a close, right? So what'd you like about what I just said? V is your vision. Just like you'll procrastinate without a big vision, they will stall from buying without a big vision. So what is your vision for them based on now your assessment of how you can help them?
Okay.
Like, why do you think you could help them? How can you help them create this result? Right? And this is excellent. What credit card would you like to put that on? Excellent. What credit card would you like to put that on? Right? And so you're doing some variation of this. I think you're just not doing follow up. And so 3 to 5 days, you need to follow up with someone. And like my follow up isn't like, Natasha, I know you were on my webinar, and are you still thinking about buying? Or are you still like, it's not like that. It's like, hey, and I start to think about like, what is, if somebody wanted to buy from me, because like the people who are no, you don't need to convince them. So a lot of people in follow-up, people get into convince mode. That is the worst thing you do, because that will turn off the people that want to buy from you, because they will feel it, right? So write a note for yourself in follow-up to not convince. You, it's almost like for us, we think of ourselves as your accountability partner, and we want to see you win, whether you buy or you don't buy. But we're sticking with you for like 5 days. You get what I'm saying? And in those 5 days, we are connected. And like, we're your accountability partner, so you win. And when you open up a door that says something like if I follow you today, most of you guys, right? If I follow you today and I would be willing to bet, not everybody, but there's a good percentage of you right now that know what you maybe want. Like you want to make more money, or you want to launch a course, you want to do a retreat in Italy, or whatever. You kind of know what you want. And some of you guys that don't, but there's a bunch of you guys who know what you want. When you operate without a coach, you're playing the procrastination game. You just are. You're playing the procrastination game. And you may not know that or see that yet, but you're playing the procrastination game. And so, because nobody gets there without someone to help them. Like, I didn't get here without a virtual assistant that understood tech. I didn't get here without a coach. I didn't get here without studying copywriting. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, we don't get there without studying with somebody, and nobody gets there without accountability. No one. Think about it. The greatest athletes in the world have a coach. The greatest entrepreneurs in the world all have a coach. You just get better at using your coach. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Yes?
Yeah.
Got it?
Yes.
So follow up, for me anyway, really the 80% of the cash comes from follow up. 80% of building your community is going to come from follow up. And so if you give yourself 5 days to be with somebody every day, and you got to check in with them, like, hey, like, what's your goal today? Oh, my goal is to do. And you are a parenting coach, or a parent coach, like Wendy, or mom coach. You're going to go back into your field. They're going to say, great that you have all these goals, mama, of like cleaning the house and going to work out and having some you time. But like, where is your intentional 30 minutes with your kid to make sure that your kid grows up to be a thriving adult? Yeah. I'm just going to stand for you because I know that's important to you. So what could you do, and when could you do it, where you dedicate 30 minutes with your kid?
Okay.
I don't have the time to do it. How many days go by that you don't have the time to do it? I'm doing this through text, email, voice note, whatever. That's, if I responded 2 times, that's follow-up. That's follow-up, because you're in the process of having them really prioritize. Do you know that I've been on this pursuit to have another baby? And it's been 2 years since I did IVF. I had no idea till I looked. It's been 2 years I wasted not doing IVF. That is a product of me not having somebody push me in that area. Like, it just, can we just have a human moment, y'all? How many guys know you wasted, like, you've had lack of urgency or lack of rigor? Maybe not lack of desire, but if you really were honest with yourself, like, it costs us so much to not give somebody permission. And you can't just hope people are going to show up and be a good Samaritan and push you that are not getting paid. Do you know what I mean? Like, you need it. There are areas of your life, in my life, when we pay for somebody to own the result with us, we get it. And then there's some of you guys who fight the coaching and say, but you don't know my audience, or you don't know who I am, or I don't like to be talked to like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, you don't like to be talked to like that. Like,
that was me.
right? You got to shift this stuff and be humble.
Before I got
Humility
into
has no emotion of offense or defense. Humility is like, coach me, I want to get better. Right? Super good. Okay, so this is where you're at. If because you're at 7 to 12%, that is pretty standard. I actually think you're doing really well. What you're not doing is you're not doing the 5-day follow-up where you touch base multiple times a day. And what you're going to see is you're going to end up pipelining so many people that you're going to have a hard time keeping up with your lead gen. So that's your tweak, and you're good. Like I have no doubt this will totally belly over for you. Like you're at 7 to 12%. That I wouldn't expect more from you on talking to somebody. 7 to 12% is what I would consider a good one-time conversation close. Those are laydowns. Those are people who already know that they want to be with you. They already either know they want to be with you, or they already know that they want that result. And so they're going to take a risk and they're going to work with you. You get what I'm saying? And so you're just leaving 80%. So you can take that. So now what I want you to do to excite yourself is I want you to look at your your close ratio, and I want you to shore it up to 30%.
Okay.
Then count the income you're leaving on the table, the cost of not doing follow-up. Okay, I'm gonna let you go. You're good to go. You're solid. Good coaching session. Denise!
Hi, Shanda. Okay. I would love help on creating a webinar, just the structure of it, and then creating a stack for it. You can definitely use
What?
a stack.
Okay, so the stack would take a little bit longer, but because I need to go into some depth with you. Are you mentioning live?
Yes.
Okay, so I would go study the stacking.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
really just go into hardcore world, study the stacking, because I've got some really deep training on that in there. And you guys who are sitting on the sidelines that know that you might want to work with us, Mentor Me Live, a good time to jump into Mentor Me Live is now, because you get VIP access at Zone Event at the end of November in Austin, Texas, and you get to hang with all of the community in a private lunch on day 1 of Zone Event, which is at the end of November in Austin, Texas. So if any of you guys are watching and you want to be in our Mentor Me Live program, type in the word coach. Type in the word coach, and then make sure you check your inboxes for our team to reach out to you. Type in the word coach if you want to come and coach with us, okay? So, because it's crazy to sit on the sidelines and know you need help and don't have the accountability to succeed. So I want you to go into Mentor Me Live, and I want you to literally focus on the stacking training, because it's just deep and it's solid, okay? The outline to do a webinar, it's gonna come down to a hook or a headline. I'll talk about that in a second. Okay, there's a hook or a headline. Make sure you guys can see this well. Can you guys see this okay? Yes? Okay, so a hook or a headline, they're a little bit different and they have different styles. Like I like to hook, I don't like to say headlines. Russell Brunson says headlines more, right? And I don't know where his close ratio is right now on his perfect webinar formula, but it was 13%, and I do 13% off a webinar. So I just share that with you to give some grounding of when you get good at a webinar. 13% is typically $1 million webinar. Okay, so I like to do a hook. So I'm going to explain that in a second. Once you do the hook, you need to have some sort of a transition into, let's call it past. And Russell would say hero, I would say future, right? And there's this aha moment that happens. So I'll explain this in a second. Then there are 3 steps, bullets. They're so simple, you guys. I mean, you really don't have to overthink this. These things are actually very, very simple. There's 3 steps, focuses, 3 paths, 3 secrets, there's always 3. Okay? And these are the points. So if I was going to teach about list building, the number one thing is to literally create a reason for experts to mail for you. Then I would tell 1 or 2 stories about people who got experts to mail from them that nobody knew before our strategy. But the strategy doesn't work because there's always a key to each step. Okay, I'll explain this for a second. But so I give a point or a step. So I might talk about the fact that you want to send out a generator email, and these are the things you put in a generator email, and you reach out to experts, and all these people who've written books will mail for you. Here's 2 stories of 2 people that kind of relate to you guys, right? That did this, and these are their results. Now, before I go the next step, I say, but the key is this whole thing falls apart if you can't get an expert to mail for you or an author to mail for you. Get it? Because you want to ground the fact that I don't want you to get lost in the content. You need to understand that if you don't know the how to do this, it's not going to work. Because the key is they have to mail. It's not just good enough to know the steps. Now, you guys, this is not a bait and switch. This is accountability. Any of you guys who have anything connected to courses or teaching or lecturing, the offer really is accountability. So I call it leadership, right? Because the truth is we could all go learn how to sew on YouTube. We could all go learn how to podcast on YouTube. We could all go learn how to create a signature talk on YouTube. Like, somebody has already changed their business model and has changed it and just decided to give all the content away for free. Okay, why don't people do it? They don't have the leadership to do it. And the statistics for you guys who help kids, the iPad and the swiping is actually training the mind to procrastinate at a very, very high level, which will stop the child as an adult from actually having the ability to take action. Isn't that wild? Like, it will actually stop them. They won't be able to take action because their brains are getting totally screwed up. Okay, and so this key is leadership or accountability or action. You guys get it? Yes? So there's 3 steps, 3 secrets, 3 whatever. And then there's another transition. You might call this transition a bridge. And I'll give you a couple transitions. And then you make the offer. Now, the offer is very, very simple. The offer is, this is my XYZ program, and here's how much it costs, and here's what's in it. Here's what's in it. Here's the benefits of what's in it, and that's it. Here's the link to buy. Everybody gets backed up about the offer. You've already sold up here. Okay? Now, your reminder emails go out over 3 to 5 days, depending on how many days. 3 minimum, 5 is good. And you are closing down the offer, maybe adding some more bonuses. Okay, like a bonus could be, I take the payment plan and spread it into 4 payments. You get what I'm saying? So you're just always, how can I help the person that wants to buy overcome whatever their fear? And by the way, it's not all money. Okay, so even if you think it is. So now this is the content, which is your steps to create the hook. These are your steps to create the hook. So this is easy now because honestly, you can tell ChatGPT to create that. You just have to have enough courage to not be esoteric and to put it this way. If you can say a statement about what you believe to be true and ask ChatGPT to write a headline, even in Dan Kennedy's voice, which is already direct response marketing, you're going to be shocked. You'll be done. Okay. But you're in Meant to Be Live. So I recommend you also study the empathy model, because the empathy model is what gives you the leadership and the courage and the understanding to think through what is my hook? What is your hook? Comes from the deepest part of you that is so assertive about what you're doing, right? Like, I am so there isn't even the closest family member at this point that can make me feel shameful about teaching people to prioritize money. And why? Because I look at my son and I'm like, get none of your, you got what you, can you see it in me? Like, I'm like, nobody's opinion of me is more important than my son to me. And I know my whole family is amazing and my husband's family is amazing. But if they ever judged me for being so aggressive about teaching people to prioritize money, I honestly, it just doesn't faze me, because as long as I'm taking care of my son, that's what's important to me and his future. So that's like the deepest assertiveness in me. So now when I take that, and if I'm doing a webinar and I want to use ChatGPT, I'm going to say a statement, change this statement into a headline. Use Dan Kennedy's voice. I would just prompt it like that, right? And so I might say something like, it's just not okay to be a business owner and not absolutely master your ability to make money. Do you see how like that's the same thing for me? Like it's bold. It's like, I could even, I think you're irresponsible if you don't have a business coach, whether it's me or somebody else. Let me show you how to master cash flow. I could take that. So the more bold, like what you would say to maybe your spouse or your best friend, maybe after 2 glasses of wine, I don't know. Like the more bolder, because some of you guys are not bold, you're like really people pleasy, right? Like you got to get the people pleaser out and just, what is the bold statement you would make about what it is that you do, or what it is that you believe your buyer should do, take, have, whatever. You guys get it? And I go ChatGPT and ask it to create it. Now I got a headline and a hook. And so I got to come in and I need to, this is the part of the past. There's no way it's probably very rare. I mean, you have a past to whatever you're selling, even if it's not trauma. Right? Like I think about my Hire My People company, right? And it's a bunch of, you basically get our team to do all the things you need to do in your life, right? Set up your registration pages, build out funnels, do copy. We have a friend of mine right now that we're taking a 10-hour training that he did. And we're making it a book that's becoming a lead gen online. On the next page, he's selling tickets to different cities that he's going to do these 2-hour like presentations for, right? So my other team's doing that, right? And so my past story to this is not a trauma story like it was with Hardcore Business, right? My past story to that company, if I'm doing a webinar to, sell like virtual assistant work or something like that, my past is not this deep, dark secret. It is literally the pain of 6 years of my life trying to do social media right, and not being able to pay enough money for social media managers, virtual assistants, marketing managers, chief marketing managers that are over $100,000 revenue, like employees. Like I have not been able to crack that code. I think with love, if you're a social media manager, see, these are the bold things. It's another webinar I could do. I think all social media managers suck. That is a great statement for me to say. Go to ChatGPT and say, make this a headline. That would be an amazing webinar for me to create and then sell my virtual assistant skills, right? Even though we're not specialized on social media, we use high traffic blogs to drive traffic back to me and my clients, right? Who buy from that company. And the strategy is to repurpose your content. So it's your voice, because it's hard to get a copywriter to even write your voice, right? So it's your voice, your content, and we put it amongst high traffic sites. Plus we start to stack your social. Do you get what I'm saying? And they do it well. But I spent a lot of money on the woman who runs that company that she was my who, she already knew how to do that. And she knew how to run the teams. I have not been able to repurpose that inside of Hardcore Business. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's the pain. The pain is so many years of wasted time and having all of the business on my back to produce the income. And so I had this aha moment that all my content died when the algorithm. So you guys watching us on Facebook right now, like in 3 weeks from now, it's just gone, right? Like it's gone. It's just gone. You know, YouTube, it's being repurposed, but like it's gone. And so, and it's only for the people who find my platforms, really, right, y'all? Like, so I had this aha moment. My business is still growing at the level of, let's say, productivity I have in a day to produce content. And they have to come to my site, which is a big problem. So I had this aha moment that I didn't want that. And so what did I do? I went and I hired Carrie. And Carrie already had all the experience I didn't have. She has the speed. Within 2 weeks, she flipped everything around in that company, cleaned up all the customers and clients, and started working with high caliber people. And I became a client of my own company. Hardcore business, by the way, pays for hardcore works. Make sense? And so then I go into my content, and the key is that you have to produce content, right? Or the key is that you need to have a competent person to be able to go high level with your content and reach more people. The key is you need to have, so I teach the content, but the key is that you have to have a lead magnet that has a really strong hook to scale, right? And so then I do a transition. Here's a couple transitions for you guys that works for everything. There's the transition of, there's a transition of 100% I know that there's nobody who makes it on their own, so I would like to be that help for you, right? So 100% everybody needs help. You should just write this down. Everybody needs help. I would like to be that help for you. That's why I created the XYZ program, the XYZ product, the XYZ service. Get it? That's a transition. So many people fumble in the transition. Is this a great training, you guys? Is this helpful? So many people fumble in the transition. And it's just, you could just keep it as simple as that. One that I did was, you could kind of go back to this again, past and future. I was walking, so I've done the content and say, so I want to end this webinar with this. And it might be a motivational message that gets somebody into their heart. And this is one of mine. I'm walking the beach with my son. And as I'm walking the beach, which would be perfect for this webinar, and I'm doing videos and I'm posting them on Instagram and Facebook. And I'm doing videos of my son, and he's little and he keeps running into the ocean. The only time I talked to my son, you guys, from walking this whole big beach, he was like maybe 3, was when I grabbed him to reprimand him because he was going too much into the ocean. And I was afraid a wave or a current was going to grab him and take him out. Right. And so I do this whole walk along the beach and all the way back. My little toddler's like trying to run the ocean, trying to do videos and do posts, and I grab him and pull him back from being too far in the ocean. And I get back to the end of the beach where I walk up the stairs to my house, and I realized I wasn't present or with my son at all. And so I called my friend Craig and I said, Craig, I need you to help me. I need you to help me design a better day. And Craig, and like, there's a whole story to this, but I don't have to go into the full story and say, and Craig transformed me in about 10 minutes. Sometimes the very moment you ask for help is the moment that everything changes. I would like to be that help for you. That's why I created the XYZ program. So you guys get what I'm saying? Like, you have aha moments in your life that are just like a paragraph story. Like, you don't need to go into all the details. You need to keep it high level. Like you're in a boardroom. Like this is when you have to think, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to bore you with the details. Like, that's a good use of, don't bore them with the details. Give them the high level of the aha moment. Like, bring us to the beach, bring us to the bedroom, bring us to the moment of meditation, bring us in the moment. This past at the beginning or the end is in the moment. Don't tee up the story. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Like, drop us into the moment when you were having that moment that you had an aha, and then share it with us, and then just say whatever it is that you learned from that. And that's why I created this program. You guys get it? Yes? Add a bonus, At a 20-minute bonus, you'll always see, I almost always do some level of a 20-minute bonus. I love 20-minute bonuses. For you guys who want to go to thezoneevent.com, here's what I'll do. I'm going to pop you off, okay?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome, babe. So I'm going to end the slide, but here's what I'm going to do. For you guys who have not gotten your tickets for Zone Event, and you'd like to tell stories like that, you want to learn how to break these things up, we workshop everything. We don't put a bunch of speakers on the stage and spin you. I hate that stuff. We go and we literally create marketing plans. We literally create storylines. We literally do things that tangibly create results for people. You can go to thezoneevent.com and you can see what's going to be at that event. And I keep adding some of my friends to come do content pieces. Nobody's coming to do a presentation. Everybody's coming to workshop things based on the content that I designed for thezoneevent.com. However, how many of you guys know that there are people in your life that you talk to and you land with? Put me. Like there's some people who are easy, right? They're easy. Put me if you know that, right? They're easy. But here's the real question. How many of you guys got an analyzer in your life and you're more controlling or excited and that analyzer drives you nuts because they feel like they're skeptical or they never make decisions? Come on, you guys, just say, I do, right? I do. And then the analyzers are watching you right now and they're saying, well, you're a little annoying because you're so high energy and you don't follow through because you're like, woo! You guys, that's a promoter. Right? Promoters walk into a room, they're fired up, but at the end of the day, they know that they don't finish what they start. They're good starters, but they're not good finishers. So there's promoters, there's analyzers. Analyzers, you guys are amazing to make things perfect. You're not as good at just making a decision off the front end. You need to flex your controller to make a decision versus constantly relook at all of the details. Like I love analyzers to look at, like my husband's an analyzer. When I run something and he goes back in, he makes it perfect. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So then there's the supporter, and the supporter is like the doormat. Some of you guys, your client is a supporter. They never prioritize themselves. They always put themselves last. They are hard to sell to, are they not? They're hard to sell to because they're putting everybody else in front of them when it's really their time to shine, but you're having to do a full-time like pull to get them to show up. So what if you knew how to land with all of those different quadrants? We have a training called Style Flex Selling. Style Flex Selling. It's how to take your marketing and your sales conversations and land them with all the quadrants. You're only making 25% of the income you can if you're only talking to people that are like you. Do you know what I mean? Like the person that just says yes. So here's what I'm going to do. All you guys who've already jumped into the Zone Event, if you're on here, put the word zone. If you've already jumped into Zone Event, I'm going to make sure that you guys get access to this training. Some of you guys might already have it. It was a few years ago that we created it, but it is not for sale on our website. Right? Is not for sale on our website. We did a private training for a group of people a couple years ago. I have that training. And so what I'm going to do is anybody who jumps into thezoneevent.com, thezoneevent.com, right? And I don't care what ticket level you come in at, I'm going to make sure you get this by Monday. Thezoneevent.com. There's 3 sets of tickets. There's a general ticket. It's general seating. There is a diamond ticket, which is the best seat in the house. I'll probably know your name by the end of it for sure. You get a table at this one. You also get early entrance, and you also get a networking party the night before on this ticket. It's a great ticket. And then there's a bundle ticket, which you and 4 other people, so basically 5 of you in total can come to the Zone Event. And this is inspired by, I always learn with my friends. I just always have. And I think that's why I have so many successful friends around me. We've rose together. I always say the Les Browns and the Jack Canfields and the Mark Victor Hansons, all these guys, Bob Proctor already passed away, right? All of these guys are passing the baton to some of you. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Like they're on their way out and they're passing the baton. Do you know that all these guys, Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer is already gone? These guys all supported each other. I know because I hung out with some of them, right? And so they all supported each other and they went out. That's like the bundle. You want to have an ecosystem that keeps getting easier as your friends are getting more successful with you. So there's a bundle ticket, there's a diamond ticket, there's a general admission ticket. You could always add, it's called the Money and Mingle, which is really the networking the day before. You could always add that to this ticket after you grab it. However, anybody who goes to zonement.com today, I will gift them the Style Flex selling workshop. It's like 4 hours of getting you ninja. There is no training on this planet that is done like that. It's around all the quadrants: the promoter, the controller, the analyzer, and the supporter. By the way, it's also going to help your relationships, because if you're triggered by that person you can't land with, well, you will learn how to land with them. You guys are playing BAF. I will include that in your BAF ticket, just FYI. So if you have any BAF, you guys playing BAF know what I'm talking about. You guys who don't know what BAF is, just ignore that I said it. Just go to thezoneevent.com. We will make sure on Monday that we email out everybody who has a zone ticket the Style Flex selling training, okay? All right, my amazing friends, have an amazing weekend. I will talk to you soon.